Hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the midweek edition of Alaska Weather on this third day of April 2019. Up first on the hazardous weather graphic, we've got wind advisories out here through the central interior, upper Yukon Valley, into the Fairbanks area, on westward, not quite into the Nulato Hills, but at least through Galena. Gusty east and northeast winds today, 25 to 35 miles an hour, may pick up a little bit more and could see gusts in some of the windier locations, maybe 40 to possibly 45 miles an hour. Through tonight, all of these advisories are due to expire at 6 a.m. Thursday morning. Otherwise, no other watches, warnings, or advisories out anywhere in the state currently, at least for tonight through tomorrow. And for the fire danger chart, nothing significant again, and hopefully it stays that way for some time. And moving on to satellite imagery, you see upper level low actually generating a system here as it pulls southwestward, increasing westerly flow, and clouds over the northern southeast coast today, a few breaks down to the south. Basically, except for maybe on the south coast, might add some drizzle with the fog, looked pretty thick there on the central coast. Otherwise, a little bit of light snow developing over Canada here, with the Alaska Highway at the border picked up about probably an inch of snow today, but I didn't see any of that getting into the Northway area or Tok, but probably got some into the Wrangell Mountains there, and also over toward Burwash, reporting snow the entire day, Destruction Bay in those areas. And there's radar showing that starting to build showers just north of the border, north of Skagway there, where they're seeing an increase in the clouds as well, a little bit lowering of the clouds. This really just non-precipitation producing cloudiness over the central panhandle. Back to the west, clear skies, sunshine, some gusty outflow winds. Manduska Valley, Palmer seeing gusts 50 miles an hour today. Also Valdez had gusts around or about 50 miles an hour also out of the northeast, with the higher pressure and the colder air coming southward here. And again, the wind advisories, and north of the Alaska Range, temperatures are much chillier in the 20s through that area as opposed to the mid to upper 40s here over south central Alaska. Sunshine into Kodiak today as those clouds edged back to the southwest. Same thing into Bristol Bay as this very weak feature here continues to dissipate and really not moving much at all, just kind of splitting up. And it did bring some rain throughout the day today here to the south coast of the Alaska Peninsula, with maybe a few hundredths of an inch falling Chignik and Sand Point, for example. Nothing at Cold Bay on the lee side there. They were breaking out a little bit with no precipitation. And then about 2/10 of an inch fell at Coon Island, just east of Unalaska Island there and west of False Pass. And some moisture, maybe 1 to 2/10 or 1 to 2/10 did fall today over the Pribilof Islands, where it held together a little bit better. And otherwise, remainder of the moisture off to the northwest, and a little bit of shower activity with some clouds associated with a system that's off the map there. Some scattered rain and snow showers, but again, less than 1/10 of an inch falling both at Atka and Shimia, and a little breezier with gusts 25 to 35 miles an hour. Really nothing to speak of for that part of the world. Out towards Shimia and Attu with some numerous rain and snow showers along with it. Got a weak low here forming in the Gulf of Alaska due to upper level low pressure area or trough, falling heights, and so that's developed a surface low here, also with the colder air over the interior and the outflow winds. That tends to contribute to falling pressures over the Gulf of Alaska as well. But you can see a pretty tight gradient here through the interior, keeping those winds on the gusty side. Indian Mountain, gusts 35 miles an hour today, and about the same over toward Unalakleet. In fact, they may have had gusts of 40 miles an hour at Unalakleet this afternoon. Otherwise, most areas seeing less of that. And then the light snow just edging toward or over the border this afternoon, and again into Canada, and that's probably going to slip on down as this whole thing slides southward tonight. Otherwise, this weak front out here to the west will more or less remain in place there and maybe get a little more of an influx of moisture. The shaded area here, just it's a chance, not a sure thing. Probably along the frontal boundary, though, it's more of a sure thing, like for the Fox Islands, periods of light rain, fog, or drizzle tonight. Same pattern you saw today for the Alaska Peninsula. Same pattern you saw today also for interior Alaska, with those winds and the wind advisories out in the interior there. Look for areas of low clouds and fog. They're not there currently, but they're forecast to develop with the IFR that's out in the significant weather graphics there. So throw some fog in there as the snow off to the east there. And then looks like an area of snow here developing, or it's continued, but it'll slide southward and bring a chance of snow into the Lynn Canal Glacier Bay area, Haines, maybe down to Juneau. South of the Arctic boundary, be more of a mixed condition and a lot drier, but still some scattered showers all the way down to Dixon Entrance. Mostly clear at Kodiak Island tonight, and northeast winds keep that cloud deck off the southwest coast, a fair distance there, but still in the light rain chance for the Pribilof Islands. Moving on to tomorrow's forecast, same pattern here, good east-northeast winds, clear skies, St. Lawrence Island, good VFR right down into Bristol Bay. Then it starts picking up some moisture, just a risk of a shower or two for the Pribilofs. And this front still stuck right in this area, still alive there, still bringing a chance of rain to the Fox Islands, but wind no factor at all with that, except up here back toward the Russian Far East. And then a little bit breezier with some showers out over the western Aleutians, but that's mostly from Kiska Island on west. Adak and Atka, especially Adak, looking pretty good tomorrow with possible sun breaks throughout the day. And a system pulling northward here probably will spread some rain into the southern southeast coast tomorrow. The whole pattern changing now, getting return southeast flow, so the cold snap not going to last too long here, especially for southern Alaska, but that's going to begin to increase the snow chances western Prince William Sound, eastern southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula, right up into Turnagain Arm, Passage Canal. See increasing chance of snow tomorrow afternoon, as well as continuing over the southeast interior, otherwise scattered rain and snow showers along the North Gulf Coast. In over the northern panhandle, this will become the main weather producer tomorrow afternoon for the southeast coast. And again, low clouds and fog, eastern North Slope and Arctic coast. Otherwise, still breezy, but under wind advisory levels here through the interior. So they come down a little, but don't end completely. They're definitely going to drop off considerably, probably late tonight and tomorrow here for the Manuska Valley in toward Valdez and the Copper River Delta areas. You saw those stronger gusts today. It'll be a lot less tomorrow. And then the forecast outlook for Friday, remnants of that system coming up tomorrow afternoon, right through here, kind of just a trough with leftover rain, light rain, persistent light rain over the central southern southeast coast, more showery back to the north. Less wind, less gradient, a few less lines here on the chart. So dry, mostly sunny, and really nice all the way from the Arctic coast right down into Cook Inlet. Start picking up some clouds around Cook Inlet here, and a lingering chance of moisture along the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula from possibly western Prince William Sound, more likely into Kodiak Island, scattered showers through the Alaska Peninsula, and northeast winds again keeping skies clear over the northern Bering Sea. On down along the southwest coast, just isolated chance of showers for the Pribilofs with maybe a few sun breaks, scattered isolated showers here in the central Aleutians. Really nice conditions farther to the west with light winds and maybe some sunshine. And for lows tonight, a little below zero here, 0 to 10 below Arctic coast into the northeast interior, all the way down to Northway and Tok, and into the Tanana Valley in areas depending on the amount of wind you have and how many clouds you have in the area, which will be considerably less, probably cloudier to the east, and lows into the mid-20s, upper teens for the Susitna Valley, mid-20s south central Alaska, and the 30s for the Panhandle of the Aleutians. Highs tomorrow, lower 40s in the Aleutians, mid to upper 40s, Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula. Same thing for the Panhandle, and chillier up to the north though, and near 40 south central Alaska, upper 20s to lower 30s, Tanana Valley, single numbers in the Arctic coast and North Slope. Back below zero, but not too far for Friday morning. Single numbers, upper Yukon Valley, 25 to 30 for south central Alaska, followed by highs 5 to 10 on the Arctic coast to 40 to 48 here over southern Alaska, lower 50s in the Panhandle.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
We've gone flying weather. IFR up here, central, eastern, North Slope and Arctic coast. VFR all in the interior into the northern Bering Sea off the southwest coast. We've got this band of IFR here right across the Pribilofs into the eastern Aleutians, south side of the Alaska Peninsula. More VFR and then lower conditions approaching the far western Aleutians, that next storm. And some IFR over the southeast coast, marginal in the Gulf. And we'll see for the afternoon, this area of marginal VFR shifts up to the north and northwest in across Prince William Sound and Passage Canal, south side and east side of the Kenai Peninsula, up into the southeast interior across the Wrangell Mountains, and marginal for the Panhandle, Kodiak marginal, stays VFR over the interior. This area here seems to pull back a little bit to the west or northwest, so the Pribilofs see some improvement in the afternoon, as well as the eastern Aleutians, and that IFR persists up there over the North Slope and Arctic coast. That also holds right through Friday morning as well with IFR conditions there. Otherwise, south of the mountains into the interior, another VFR day. Across the northern Bering, all the southwest coast here, and the Pribilofs in the marginal zone, this area of IFR, right out in the middle of the Bering Sea, so marginal for the Aleutians. And marginal VFR, Kodiak Island, especially the east side, up in toward, trying to get into Kamishak Bay and southern Cook Inlet, but up the east side of the Kenai Peninsula, western Prince William Sound, marginal for the Panhandle. And for Friday afternoon, breaking out here, central and southern southeast coast, and taking a little longer up to the north. Back to VFR here, North Gulf Coast and across Cook Inlet, all the interior again. And IFR really holding in place up there over the central North Slope and east side there on out to the Beaufort, or the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. Marginal VFR now, IFR gone out over the Bering Sea, and it stays VFR there from Nunivak Island, St. Matthew Island into the Strait. And for passes tomorrow, Anatuvik VFR, out again, same forecast, VFR coming up, just about all the passes. And VFR, Lake Clark, Maryland, rainy, entire Alaska range. VFR through tomorrow. Now, Mentasta, you might see an increase in those clouds, that moisture pulling up from the southeast, but ceilings might come in, cloudy skies, but later in the day, but should stay VFR. And for Tanita, VFR, Portage, VFR, and in the afternoon becoming marginal. I don't think it'll become IFR, but definitely a pretty good chance of marginal VFR later in the afternoon. And Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. Give or take, could be bordering on IFR at times. And for freezing levels, 2,000 feet, back down toward Dixon Entrance again. Otherwise at the surface, along the eastern border, hugging the North Gulf Coast, north side of Bristol Bay, north of the Pribilofs, about St. Matthew Island, and icing. Slight chance of light to very isolated moderate stuff out here, rime icing from the eastern Aleutians to just south of the Pribilofs. And another threat, maybe a little bit better here along the southeast coast, just isolated moderate, mostly above 5,000 feet. And this area along the North Gulf Coast, that's going to be increasing, at least the threat is, through the afternoon. Shouldn't be anything too serious. And for the jet stream, upper level low coming, or actually forming here in the cold air coming down from the northeast, kind of cuts off over the central interior, easterly flow, 50 knots across Kodiak, northerly to northeasterlies, 40, 60 knots through the Bering Strait. Otherwise, the Pacific jet way down to the south, kind of curving back up across the Panhandle, but really not all that strong. 9,000 feet here, south to southeast, 20, 25 knots for the southeast coast, 10 to 20 here with weak surface or weak low pressure over south central Alaska. Easterlies 25 to 35 over the central interior, on out into the northern Bering, then they diminish and picking back up to 35 knots on out to the west. And for 3,000 foot winds, that low coming in, not all that strong, just 25 to maybe 30, but that's hanging back to the west there. Pretty light here under some ridging over the central Aleutians, 10 to 15 or 5 to 15. East-northeast, 10 to 15, but the stronger winds in the interior, easterlies to east-northeast, 30 to 40 knots, diminishing out toward the Bering Strait. Southeast, 20 along the southeast coast, maybe up to 25 down south. So turbulence, I threw a little bit of light to isolated moderate chop there for Prince of Wales Island. Otherwise, shouldn't be too bad anywhere else. And then considerable moderate chop here through the central interior from the border right into eastern Norton Sound. light to isolated moderate across St. Lawrence Island. On down to Nunivak Island, otherwise southern Alaska smooth. Brooks Range, Arctic coast, North Slope smooth. Increasing turbulence with that next system, they're pushing into the western Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the sea ice conditions and the marine forecasts.
It's kind of hard to explain how important weather is to our job. I mean, it really affects everything we do.
In 2018, NOAA launches the GOES-S satellite, which takes its place in orbit as GOES-17. Working together with GOES-16, the two new geostationary weather satellites will provide constant watch over the United States and the Western Hemisphere, from the west coast of Africa all the way to New Zealand, helping monitor severe storms, wildfires, and daily weather patterns. Since its launch, NOAA's GOES-16 satellite has already demonstrated its critical capability for keeping our nation weather ready. Throughout the active 2017 hurricane season, GOES-16 delivered imagery with detail and clarity never achieved before, with 4 times greater resolution than previous NOAA satellites, and delivered this imagery faster than ever before, helping forecasters predict the path of a storm and where and when it will intensify. These accurate and timely forecasts allowed for emergency managers to prepare for evacuations, map flood areas, and save lives.
So the weather matters. The weather matters before the weather happens, and the weather matters after the event happens, because what we're able to do to prepare, allocate resources, provide information to the public through the media beforehand, and what we're able to do afterwards, how and when the waters are going to recede, so we know we can get vehicles with life-saving food and shelter equipment down a particular highway. All of that depends on the forecast.
In the GOES West position, GOES-17 will be able to provide critical data for the westernmost United States, Alaska, and Hawaii.
We're talking about getting data updates in just seconds, so we can quickly spot wildfires and closely monitor the wind direction and their intensity. The crispness of the data coming in at a faster rate will also help with fog forecasts. We can see the moment the strata starts to develop or when it starts to move out.
Like GOES-16, GOES-17 carries a suite of advanced instruments, including tools for sophisticated earth sensing, lightning detecting, solar imaging, and space weather monitoring. As an equal partner in the sky, GOES-17 will expand coverage of the advanced baseline imager technology across the Pacific Ocean, allowing meteorologists and local officials to see severe weather systems developing in real time.
So instead of seeing something, say, this large, that as you zoom in actually gets kind of blurry, you're actually going to see something that is much more detailed.
In its GOES West position, GOES-17 will be able to monitor conditions in the western U.S. like wildfires, coastal fog, and atmospheric rivers when storms from the Pacific dump heavy rain and snow over the western U.S. GOES-17 will have a major impact on fighting wildfires in California. Up-to-the-minute information and crisp detail allows forecasters to spot fires faster than ever before, even before the first 911 calls come in, and to better track and predict the path of large, dynamic, and dangerous fires.
It's amazing to see what we can get and at the level of detail and the speed that we can get the information down into the ground that makes our decision-making way more accurate.
With a view of the Pacific Ocean, GOES-17 will also provide a critical eye over shipping lanes vital to the U.S. economy, protecting cargo and passenger vessels from dangerous ocean storms. GOES-17 will also provide a high-definition view over Alaska, resulting in better weather forecasts and improved monitoring of sea ice, wildfires, and volcanic ash. The advanced baseline imager on GOES-17 can distinguish between clouds, sea ice, and snow cover, a critical need during Alaska's dark, cloudy winter months. GOES-17's geostationary lightning mapper monitors lightning flashes, including the in-cloud lightning most prevalent in severe storms, helping forecasters determine when a storm is forming, intensifying, and becoming more dangerous. Thanks to GOES-17, emergency managers will be equipped with more accurate weather predictions and faster warnings, providing a real impact, saving lives, and protecting infrastructure. Watching over Earth from 22,300 miles above, GOES-S will provide vital data to our weather-ready nation.
Hi, I'm JPSS. I'm a high-tech weather satellite that orbits our planet. I do something called a polar orbit. I circle the Earth from North Pole to South Pole, over and over, while the Earth spins. While I do that, I get lots of information about what's going on around the globe. I watch storms, clouds, and rain. I take the temperature of the ocean, measure air quality, ozone health, and take pictures of the land and sea. This information is used for all kinds of things. It helps us take care of our coasts and oceans and all the amazing things that live there. It helps us monitor harmful weather events like floods and droughts and measure the health of the environment. Most importantly, it helps us predict weather 3 to 7 days in the future. That means I can be a big help ahead of storms, where future warnings are important. I send information to the National Weather Service. They use the information to create forecasts. The forecasts are shared with people all over the country to help prepare for weather emergencies. So you look to the sky and wave. I'll be flying by.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back to today's sea ice analysis. Not much different from yesterday. Kind of the thickness of the ice north of St. Lawrence Island kind of varying a little bit and actually getting the heavier ice getting pushed off to the southwest and west by those gusty northeast winds. And not a lot, actually the north to northeast winds are going to stay in place over the area here with the chillier temperatures probably for the next 4 or 5 days. So look for the ice to begin to advance off to the southwest once again. Coastal water forecast, south coast, 25 knot winds on the extreme south coast, otherwise southeast 20, central coast back to 25 on the north coast. Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay area, especially northern Lynn Canal, north 25, maybe some higher gusts, dropping back to 15 for Stevens Passage, southeast 25 there for Clarence Strait. And then on Friday, southeast 20 here for Clarence Strait, and good small craft advisories along the coast, all along the coast from the southeast, central and south coast, 25 to 30, east 25 on the north coast, and north 20 with gale force gusts in the forecast now for Stevens Passage, and still 25 out of the north for Lynn Canal. Prince William Sound, northeast 15 tomorrow, lighter winds for sure, especially out in the outer, or the coming outflow winds will diminish. And otherwise, east to northeast, 25 knots for the North Gulf Coast. Small craft advisories also out for the Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, and southern Cook Inlet, north of the Forelands. Look for northerlies at about 20. And for Friday, north 15 here for northern Cook Inlet. Still small craft advisories. Southern Cook Inlet out of the north, northeast 25, Kamishak Bay, 30 knots out of the northeast for the Barren Islands, and east-northeast 25 for the North Gulf Coast, with Prince William Sound looking northeast at about 15 with seas at 2 feet. And then for Kodiak Island, east-northeast 25 to 30 knots tomorrow, 20-knot winds from Bristol Bay down the north side of the Alaska Peninsula, east-northeast 25 knots from Cape Sarachef to Sitkinak. And for Friday, northeast 25, Sitkinak to Cape Sarachef, and then north side of the peninsula, also northeast 25 and 20 knots from the northeast there for Bristol Bay, and small craft advisories, Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait, and all the marine areas there for 25 to 30 knot winds. Fox Islands tomorrow, Unalaska Island, northeast 15 to 20 knots, Umak Island becoming northwest 20 to 25 knots, and west-northwest kind of diminishing here. Atka, probably see the 20 knots, something less for Adak, and then picking back up 25 to 30 as you head out west. And then for Friday, swinging around to the northwest, coming down to 10 knots, really light wind conditions west of Amchitka Island. and then picking back up to northwest 25, Adak and Atkin. That's about the strongest winds. They'll be here in the Aleutians the next couple of days, or for Friday, with north to northwest 15 to 25 for the eastern zones. Southwest coast tomorrow, northeast 25 knots. St. Matthew Island, same forecast. A little under small crafts there for the Pribilofs. Northeast 25 to 30, St. Lawrence Island into Norton Sound. And those come down on Friday, northeast 20 knots in those areas, 25 knot winds north side of Nunivak Island to St. Matthew Island, northeast 20 for the Pribilofs. Up along the Beaufort Sea coastline on the, northeast 10 to 15, turning east to 10, so pretty light winds in those areas. And then 20 knot winds here on the west side, back down to 15 knots from the northeast, Cape Beaufort, all the way down to Wales. And then for Friday, northerlies from Wales up to Cape Thompson, turning northeast from Cape Thompson, then east winds here at 20 knots for the west side of the coast, light easterlies for the central coast, and east-northeast 10 to 15 or so for the east side. And looking at tonight's chart again, clear over a good portion of interior Alaska. Look for some lower clouds, fog, possibly developing in the eastern north slope and Arctic coast. Any snow already off to the east. Chance of snow lingers here and actually pushes southward, maybe into the northern panhandle, but definitely not, I don't think it'll reach much into the North Gulf Coast, but it could. Just clouds here, Prince William Sound. Wind advisories out all night long for the central interior here. Winds possible up to 40-mile-an-hour gusts. Still breezy, Valdez and Palmer, Matanuska Valley in those areas, but starting to trend down. Chance of rain eastern Aleutians for tomorrow. Reverse flow here, moisture coming in, a lot lighter winds now for the Matanuska Valley and Prince William Sound, with increasing clouds and increasing chances of snow along the Kenai Peninsula up into the southeast interior. Rain pushes up into the southern southeast coast. That front just kind of hangs out there over the Bering Sea and continues to weaken. And then for Friday, it's gone, and lighter winds over the interior with dry conditions. Chance of rain along the Kenai Peninsula and Panhandle.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.